Right. So when I uploaded the assignment, I got to this point and I decided that I'm going to name my exercise before you guys even came, because they've done this now the third time today. And as always, remember, this is the most important step. In this specific case, we are supposed to create a database and we're supposed to call it dog walkers. Okay, so what I can do basically is just add that name behind CP3, just so that you know. But I'm naming it particularly that. Why am I calling it PDF? That must be a typo. Okay, so I'm just adding the word dog walkers because the very first instruction says open access and create a new database. So of course this is a new database, and then name the database dog walkers. So this is where I name the database, and you will notice as always that this is the location where I'm storing that database. Okay, it will be different for all of us and none of us will have it in exactly the same spot. Okay, gonna click on create and we're gonna get to this screen, and you guys must be so tired of me saying this, but I always close the screen. This is where you design a table on the go. We are not there yet. Um, as always, it lacks planning. I don't support doing it on the go because one does need to plan it out a little bit, not just jump in. Okay, so we get to instruction number 2 that says create a table within the database and name it customers. And bear in mind that what I said last time was that we cannot really create a table, we cannot name that table until we have created it. We cannot really enter anything until we have created the structure for that table. So that is what we're going to do first of all. So here we have basically the instruction that says add the following fields to this table. And if you look at the bottom, there's a picture that gives you the records as well: customer number, last name, first name, city, balance, and walker number. And then usually I may give you the names, I may not, but then you must decide the data type. I don't really give data types. You have to sort of just look at the data and determine, does this warrant the number data type? Does it short text? Is this a primary key? Is it not? And things like that. So in this case, we are given the field number, the field names, but not the data types. So we are going to go and click on create table design, and in here is where we're going to put together the skeleton or the backbone of this table. Now the very first field is customer number, and I want to say usually, mostly customer number, mostly the very first field is usually the primary key. That's not always the case, but it mostly is the case, but don't assume it is that. So always just go through the other fields and determine if that really is a good field for a primary key. Now, if you look at the table or the content of this field, you will see it contains alphabetical characters and it contains numbers. So when that is the case, you usually choose short text because short text can contain alphabetical characters and numbers. Also, long text can do that. But a number, no. A currency, no. So that is the choice you have to make. Today I'm not going to add a description. You guys have seen me doing that in 2 videos, so we don't have to do that today. Now we get to last name. A last name is a word. It's alphabetical characters. But even if someone on this planet had a letter or had a number or a special character in his last name, it would still be fine if we choose short text. So even for last name, the data type short text is fine. And always bear in mind that we have 255 characters. That is a lot of characters. So people don't really have last names that long. Just bear in mind that it contains spaces. The third is first name. Also, first name. Okay. Once again, first name going to be text. If someone were to have a number in his name, it would still be okay. If you chose short text, no problem there. Okay, now we get to city. Okay, now at step 4 it says create a list for the city field and add the following cities to the list. So when you get to an instruction that says to create a list, you know that you should not choose short text, you should choose lookup wizard. Okay, now I mentioned to you guys that I'm going to show you how to create, how to use a table to populate this list. I'm going to quickly show you how to do that. So doing that, I'm just going to skip this for now. And so the instruction says add this to the list, but I'm just going to change that instruction a little bit and show you how it will be used if you use another table. Okay. So after city, we have balance, and balance indicates that this is going to be money, okay, or currency. And then Walker number. Okay, when I look at Walker number, I see only numbers, real numbers, no alphabet characters. So in this case, I can use number, but it would also have been okay if I use short text, because this is an identification number. It's not going to be used to do calculations. So it's perfectly fine if you were to choose short text as well. All right, so remember that I'm changing this one instruction. I'm going to create a table for city. Okay, so I'm ready to save this, and by looking at this table, customer number is indeed the best choice for a primary key because none of those repeat and they are all unique. So I'm going to just make sure that my mouse is selected inside customer number, and then I'm going to click on the primary key over here and I'm going to close it. It says, do you want to save your changes? And I will say yes. And they gave me a name. They said I should call this customers. So here I have my customer table, and I'm now ready to create a little city table that I will use to populate this lookup wizard. So this is not in the instructions, so please watch the video and please tell each other to watch the video. I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to create one thing. It's going to be short text, and since I have only one field in the city, it's going to be the primary key, and I'm going to close this and I'm going to call it city. So in my city table, okay, remember I always close this just because it's confusing, but it doesn't matter if you do or don't. So now I will enter the names. I will enter Grand City, I will enter Empire, and I will enter Portage. Oh. Okay, we have only 3 cities. In other words, these are the 3 entries that we would have entered in the lookup wizard box. But now I'm creating a table with these 3 entries. Remember that there is only one primary key, and that is city in this specific table. So none of these names can repeat. If I do repeat one of them, so I'm going to repeat Empire, I will get an error message that says you are trying to enter a duplicate value. Okay, so make sure that you do not enter a duplicate value. So once I'm happy, I'm just going to close it, and you'll notice that it would save it automatically. And now I'm going to go back to customers over here, and I'm going to go back to design view. So remember, you can always jump back and forth between these things by clicking on the pencil and so on and so on. And by coming back to design view, I can now go to the city table, and here I can create that lookup list that they asked. But I'm not going to enter the values I want. I'm going to use a table. So here you will notice I'm in city field. This is my city field. And instead of saying short text, I'm going to say lookup wizard. Now, we always choose the second one that says I will type the values I want. But today we are going to say I want the lookup field to get the values from another table or query. Now, we don't have a query yet, but I have a table with these values. So that is why I will select the first dot today, because that is this table over here. Now I will say next, And in this little screen, you have to now choose the table that contains those three values. And for us, it will be the city table. Okay, so it says, where should I look? Okay, you should look in tables. If you had queries, you could say look in both. But we know that we created a table, and that is why we will just make sure that these tables are selected. And at the top, the city one is already selected, and that is why we will now say next. Okay. When you get to this screen, it looks like it's complicated, but it really isn't. So in this table, we have only one field, and it means that we need to take it from available to selected. And you can do it two ways. You can double click on it, right? Or you can click on this greater than sign, which is basically an arrow that says move it to the selected field side. So we have only one field, goes over to selected, and now we will click on next. Okay. Now you can actually sort those things as well, okay, if you wish to, but you don't have to. So I'm going to not sort it. Is it sorted? Gee, no, it's not sorted. Okay, but I'm not going to sort it anyway. But if you wanted to, you could have sorted it alphabetically. Okay, let's do that. Then Imperial is going to be first, basically. If there's no there's no specific instruction for sorting, you can skip this. Okay, so here I have my values, okay, and it allows me, it looks like it's also going to allow me to enter a new value, which I actually don't want. I wonder if I can delete this, delete. Okay, let's see how it looks when we view it. So I've got this, and I'm saying next and finish. Okay, this message says the table must be saved before relationships can be created. Save now, so we say yes. On Thursday, we are going to create relationships. I'm not really going to create it. I may create a relationship now since I have the city table, but the relationship will be between the customers table and the dog walkers, the walkers table, which we're going to create just now. Okay, so I have now created my table. I've also managed to do lookup wizard over here. So let's see what the outcome was. When we go to customers, I'm just going to enter one or two of them since it's not necessary today to enter all of them since we're not querying any of it yet. Okay, oh, I wasn't done with that one. AB10. The next one is Alvarez Maria. Okay, and here when you get to city, you are now supposed to see it. So what I don't like is that blank cell over here. I'm wondering if there is something that I did in my city table. But doesn't matter because we can still make a choice. So Grand City is the one that we will be choosing. And we will just enter the values as we always do. So this one is 45 Rand. And it's Dog Walker 103. Okay, so there are 10. How many are there? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So there are 10 of them over here, and we can enter them. I will enter them before Thursday. So in the meantime, I just want to continue so that we don't take too much time. Okay, so we've got two tables now, and I've used the city table to do my list. Okay, so I'm just going to close it quickly. Just quickly want to have a look here. Oh, there is something there. There is a row that I want to delete. Okay, let's see if it looked good now. Okay, that fixed the problem. So for some reason, it looked as if I had a blank row there in the first one. And what I did was I just selected it, I right-clicked, and I said delete record. That is exactly the same way you will do it in Excel. Okay, so if you notice you also have a blank row for some reason, after using that table as a lookup wizard, just delete it and it will solve the blank row problem. As you can see, since we are using a table and a table that is now sort of referencing another table, we have kind of got these relationships things already going on in here. Can you see the city is now here and we have each city. So for example, every customer from Empire will now be listed here, and you will see in this table, the city field is now sort of like the sort field. Okay. We didn't do that on purpose. It just happened by itself. Okay, so the fifth step was to create an appropriate primary key, which is what we did. And then it says to add the records. So that is something I will do in the meantime. But now we get to step 7. And step 7 says, create a second table in the dog walkers database and name this table walkers. So we are now going to go and create a second table. So I'm going to click on create again, and we are going back to table design again. Okay, this paper is very nice. It tells you exactly which table, which columns to insert or fields. Remember, you can always substitute the word field for column. Okay, add the following fields to the walkers table. So here we go. We have walker number, and this is one that comes from the other table as well. And in the other table, we said that that specific field is going to be a number. You cannot make it a text in this field if in that field it is a number. If you're talking about the same thing, it has to have the same data type. So if walker number appears in 2 tables, make sure that in both tables they are the same data type. Right, you can't have one in this table as text and in that table as something else. Alright, after that we have again last name. So we are talking now about the walkers, not the customers. So these are people that walk dogs. Okay. There's actually a big business opportunity for people in the cities especially. So both of them will be short text since they are just words. And then we have city. Again, I wonder if there will be another list here. Doesn't look like it. There's only 3 cities, so I guess we are entering that just like that. But let me change it around a little bit. And in this specific instance, let me create it the way we could have created it at step 4. So if you want to create a list again for city, but you do it the traditional way, you can use the lookup wizard for city. And you can type the values you want. And in this case, here, we will just type the values quickly. Oh, I pressed enter. Okay, remember I told you guys to press tab, and I'm already pressing enter. Ampere and then Portage. Okay, so we have our values over there, and then the last one will be a phone number. Okay, just something about the phone number. You will notice that it is, in this case, it is a 555 number, which is what New York. So there's no special brackets or things, but there is a dash. And in this case, try not to choose number because it's not going to work. But text will work fine because a dash is seen as an alphabetical character. And if you want to include a dash in the phone number, you are obviously going to have to use short text. Okay, so we did say that, and the next step is to create an appropriate primary key. Now, one thing that I will also say again next, or when we do the relationships, and I may do it today if we finish not too late, is that you cannot have the same primary key in both fields, in both tables. In the one table, we have city, and city is the primary key. In the other one, we have customer number as the primary key. So in this one, we cannot also have customer number, and besides, customer number isn't even here. So if the only one left is going to be walker number, and also it doesn't repeat because we have only 3 walkers and they are different. So in this specific example, walker number will be a good choice for your primary key. So you can just make sure that you are in that field and then you press primary key. And you are ready to save it. And they are saying we should save it as walkers. Okay. So we are adding the records now. So I'm just quickly going to add these records. It's just 3 of them. So the first one is 103 as the number. The last name is Curdy. The first name is Alice. The city is Grand City. And remember, we created a list, even though it wasn't part of the instructions. And now when you get to phone number, this is where you must enter the dash. So that is why you had to choose short text. Otherwise, it would not have worked. Okay, I'm just quickly entering these three numbers. Lighting is a bit bad because there's rain coming here. Good, I'm so happy. Looks like we're gonna get some rain finally. Sure, it's been hot. We have like it's basically heat wave hot. Joyce. Okay, so there's only 3 records, so I'm gonna stop here and close. Okay, so now you will notice that we have some values here in customers. There's some I have to enter still, and we have city happening over there. So let me do step 12 as well, and then I'll stop there for today. Create a relationship between the customers and workers tables. Okay, so the customers and the workers tables are all linked together with their primary keys. Okay, so when you when you go to database tools, you will notice that there is an option to create a relationship between the tables. And if you read that little screen tip, it says relationships define how the data in the table is related, such as ID fields or name fields in different tables that should match. Okay, so you double click on that relationships icon. Okay, you'll see there's something here already, but I'm going to do my own thing here. So as you have done with queries, you now add the tables that you see here. Add. Okay, so this table is already happening here. So I can actually keep the city table. I will delete this one. And I will delete customers 1. So the only one that I basically added was workers. Now they automatically create a relationship between city and customers because there was something repeating over here. I am certain that if there was something in this table repeating in the customers table, that it would also have created a relationship. But that doesn't matter. We can still manually create a relationship as well. All you do is you take your key or your primary key and you click on that word Walker number. You drag it to the Walker number that you see in the other table. Okay. So in other words, you will notice that I clicked on this, I dragged it, I did not let go of the mouse, and I just touched Walker number here, and this little box appeared to me. So we are looking at a one-to-many relationship, all right, which means that one Walker can be related to many customers, basically. So when I click on create, you will see that it will create a little relationship here between this Walker number, which is my primary key, and it appears in another table. You always create relationships with primary keys together. So here city is the primary key, I link it to this city. Here Walker number is the primary key, I link it to this Walker number. There's really not much to it. Okay, so if you want to get yourself a report for this, you can actually click on relationship report and it will show you a nice printout from whatever it is you wish to do. So I'm closing it and they say, do you want to save it? And I'm just going to say yes. And you can keep the name like that. Okay, so how many objects do we have in this table? We have 4. We have 1 report and 3 tables. Okay. Do you guys have any questions or are you sort of okay? While you guys are thinking, I'm just going to close recording.